In the mid-1990s, a chance encounter in the upscale Bergdorf Goodman department store in Manhattan set the stage for a legal saga that would span decades and captivate the nation. Jean Carroll, a respected advice columnist for Elle magazine, alleged that she met Donald Trump, then a well-known real estate mogul, in the store. What began as a seemingly playful interaction turned into a harrowing experience, according to Carroll. She claimed that Trump sexually assaulted her in a dressing room, an incident that would leave an indelible mark on her life. The alleged assault took place around 1995 or 1996, a time when Trump was a prominent figure in New York's social and business circles, and Carroll was a familiar name to readers seeking her witty and insightful advice. Carroll kept the incident private for years, confiding only in close friends. The trauma, she later testified, lingered, but she chose not to pursue legal action at the time, aware of the challenges of confronting a powerful figure like Trump. The statute of limitations for sexual assault in New York had long expired by the time she decided to come forward publicly, but the passage of the Adult Survivors Act in 2022 would later provide a legal avenue to seek justice. In June 2019, Carroll published an article in New York Magazine titled "Hideous Men," where she detailed the alleged assault. The piece was an excerpt from her memoir, in which she accused Trump of raping her in the Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. The article sent shockwaves through the media, reigniting discussions about Trump's behavior toward women, especially in light of the infamous Access Hollywood tape from 2005, where he boasted about grabbing women without consent. Trump's response was swift and vehement. He denied the allegations, claiming he had never met Carroll, calling her a liar, and dismissing her story as a hoax to promote her book. His statements, made both in 2019 as president and later in 2022 on his Truth Social platform, would become the cornerstone of Carroll's defamation claims against him. The first lawsuit and the power of defamation. Carroll's decision to go public with her allegations was not taken lightly. As a seasoned journalist and columnist, she understood the scrutiny she would face. Her 2019 article prompted a firestorm of reactions, from support by those who believed her to vicious attacks from Trump's defenders. Trump's denials, particularly his 2019 statements as president, where he claimed Carroll was "not my type" and fabricated the story for publicity, were deeply damaging to her reputation. Carroll testified that these remarks led to a barrage of death threats and harassment, effectively upending her life and career. Once a beloved figure who received hundreds of letters seeking advice, she saw her inbox dwindle to a trickle, replaced by hateful messages. In November 2019, Carroll filed her first lawsuit against Trump, known as Carroll I, alleging defamation based on his 2019 statements. The lawsuit argued that Trump's denials, laced with insults and accusations of lying, had caused significant harm to her reputation and livelihood. The case faced delays, partly because Trump's legal team argued that his statements were made in his official capacity as president, potentially shielding him under presidential immunity. The U.S. Department of Justice initially supported this claim, but in 2023, under the Biden administration, it reversed course, allowing the case to proceed. The legal battle was not just about Carroll's reputation, it was a test of accountability for a man who had long evaded consequences for his actions. The Access Hollywood tape, where Trump bragged about groping women, and allegations from more than 24 other women who had accused him of sexual misconduct over the years, loomed large in the public consciousness. Yet Trump remained defiant, framing himself as a victim of a politically motivated witch hunt. The Adult Survivors Act and Carroll II. In November 2022, New York passed the Adult Survivors Act, a landmark law that opened a one-year window for survivors of sexual assault to file civil suits, even if the statute of limitations had expired. This gave Carroll the opportunity to file a second lawsuit, Carroll II, which included both a battery claim for the alleged 1996 assault and a defamation claim based on Trump's October 2022 Truth Social post. In that post, Trump reiterated his denials, calling Carroll's allegations a complete con job and a hoax, and again claiming he had never met her. The second lawsuit went to trial in April 2023 in Manhattan Federal Court, presided over by U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan. The 9-day trial was a high-stakes affair, drawing intense media attention. Carroll took the stand, recounting the alleged assault in vivid detail. She described how a light-hearted encounter with Trump turned violent as he allegedly pinned her against a dressing room wall, pulled down her tights, and assaulted her. Two friends testified that Carroll had confided in them shortly after the incident, lending credibility to her account. The jury also heard from Jessica Leeds and Natasha Stoyanov, two women who alleged similar experiences with Trump. Leeds claimed Trump groped her on a flight in the 1970s, while Stoyanov described an unwanted advance at Mar-a-Lago in 2005. The Access Hollywood tape was admitted as evidence, reinforcing the pattern of behavior Carroll's legal team sought to establish. Trump chose not to attend the trial or testify in his defense, a decision that would later be scrutinized. His legal team argued that the allegations were unproven and that the judge's rulings, including allowing the testimony of Leeds and Stoyanov, were unfair. On May 9, 2023, the jury delivered its verdict. Trump was not liable for rape, as defined narrowly under New York law, but was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation. The jury awarded Carroll $5 million in damages, $2.02 million for the sexual abuse and $2.98 million for the defamation stemming from Trump's 2022 statements. The verdict was a significant victory for Carroll, marking the first time Trump faced legal consequences for his alleged misconduct toward women. The aftermath and Trump's defiance. The May 2023 verdict sent ripples through the political and legal landscapes. For Carroll, it was a moment of vindication, though the victory came at a personal cost. She later testified that the public backlash, fueled by Trump's continued attacks, had left her fearful and isolated, retreating to her cabin in upstate New York. For Trump, the verdict was a blow, but one he refused to accept quietly. Within hours of the decision, he took to Truth Social, calling the trial rigged and Carroll a whack job. His comments at a CNN town hall the following day were even more inflammatory, as he doubled down on his denials, claiming he didn't know Carroll and dismissing her allegations as false. These statements prompted Carroll to amend her original defamation lawsuit to include the new remarks, and her legal team hinted at the possibility of a third lawsuit. Trump's legal team moved quickly to appeal the $5 million verdict, arguing that Judge Kaplan's rulings were biased and that the damages were excessive. They claimed the inclusion of the Access Hollywood tape and the testimony of Leeds and Stoyanov prejudiced the jury. They also sought to reduce the award to under $1 million, asserting that the jury's rejection of the rape claim undermined the damages. Carroll's attorneys countered that Trump mischaracterized the verdict, emphasizing that sexual abuse was a serious finding and that the jury's decision was supported by substantial evidence. Meanwhile, the first lawsuit, Carroll I, moved forward. In September 2023, Judge Kaplan issued a partial summary judgment, finding Trump liable for defamation based on his 2019 statements. The trial in January 2024 focused solely on determining damages. The jury, instructed to accept the May 2023 finding of sexual abuse, awarded Carroll a staggering $83.3 million, $18.3 million in compensatory damages and $65 million in punitive damages. The award reflected the jury's view that Trump's repeated attacks had caused significant harm to Carroll's reputation and emotional well-being. Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, argued that Carroll had not proven damages and that Trump was not responsible for the online threats she received. However, the jury rejected these arguments, delivering another resounding victory for Carroll. Chapter 5: The Appeals and the Fight for Justice. Trump's legal battles with Carroll were far from over. He appealed both verdicts, setting the stage for a protracted legal fight. The appeal of the $5 million verdict from May 2023 was heard by a three-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Manhattan. Trump's lawyers reiterated their arguments about judicial errors, including the admission of the Access Hollywood tape and the testimony of other accusers. They also sought a new trial or a reduction in damages. In December 2024, the panel upheld the verdict, finding that Judge Kaplan's rulings were sound and that the jury's decision was supported by evidence. The court noted that the testimony of Leeds and Stoyanov, along with the Access Hollywood tape, was properly admitted to show a pattern of behavior. Undeterred, Trump requested an en banc hearing before the full Second Circuit Court, a rare and typically difficult-to-obtain review. On June 13, 2025, the court declined the request, with 2 Trump-appointed judges dissenting. The decision was a significant setback for Trump, leaving the U.S. Supreme Court as his final avenue of appeal. With a 90-day window to file a petition, Trump's legal team indicated they would pursue the case to the highest court, though the Supreme Court accepts only a small fraction of cases, and there is no automatic right to appeal. The appeal of the $83.3 million verdict from January 2024 remains pending, with Trump securing a $91.6 million bond to cover the potential payout while the appeal is ongoing. This case, too, centers on Trump's claims of judicial bias and excessive damages. Carroll's legal team, led by Roberta Kaplan, has remained steadfast, expressing confidence in the strength of their case and the fairness of the judicial process. A broader context of accountability. The legal battles between Jean Carroll and Donald Trump are more than a personal dispute, they reflect broader questions about accountability, power, and justice. Carroll's lawsuits came at a time when the Me Too movement had empowered survivors to speak out against powerful men, yet Trump's status as a former president and a leading political figure complicated the narrative. His supporters viewed the lawsuits as politically motivated attacks, while Carroll's advocates saw them as a courageous stand against a man who had long avoided consequences. The verdicts also highlighted the challenges of litigating sexual assault cases, particularly when the alleged incidents occurred decades earlier. The Adult Survivors Act provided a critical opportunity for Carroll to seek justice, but the emotional and public toll of her fight was immense. She faced relentless attacks from Trump's base, including death threats and online harassment, yet she persisted, driven by a desire to clear her name and hold Trump accountable. Trump's legal troubles extend beyond the Carroll cases. He faces multiple criminal and civil cases, including a fraud trial in New York that could result in a $370 million penalty and a ban on doing business in the state. The cumulative weight of these legal battles, combined with the Carroll verdicts, paints a picture of a man whose past actions are catching up with him, even as he prepares to return to the White House. The human cost and the path forward. For Jean Carroll, the legal victories were bittersweet. The $5 million and $83.3 million awards were substantial, but they could not undo the trauma of the alleged assault or the years of harassment that followed. In her testimony, Carroll spoke of the world she had lost, a vibrant career, a sense of safety, and the joy of connecting with readers. Yet she also expressed a sense of triumph, stating after the $83.3 million verdict, "This is a great victory for every woman who stands up when she's been knocked down, and a huge defeat for every bully who has tried to keep a woman down." For Trump, the verdicts were a rare instance of accountability in a career marked by controversy. His repeated denials and attacks on Carroll only deepened the legal consequences, as each new statement provided fodder for further litigation. The $5 million verdict, now upheld on appeal, stands as a final judgment unless the Supreme Court intervenes, while the $83.3 million verdict remains a looming financial and reputational burden. As of July 12, 2025, the legal saga continues. Trump's appeal of the $83.3 million verdict is still pending, and the possibility of a Supreme Court review of the $5 million verdict remains. Carroll, now 81, has shown remarkable resilience, but the toll of the fight is evident. Her attorney, Roberta Kaplan, has emphasized that the verdicts are not just about Carroll but about the principle that no one is above the law, not even a former president. Reflections on Justice and Power. The story of Jean Carroll and Donald Trump is a microcosm of a larger struggle, between truth and denial, power and accountability, and the courage to confront the past. Carroll's decision to come forward, despite the personal cost, has inspired others to speak out, while the verdicts have set a precedent for holding powerful figures accountable for their actions and words. The Access Hollywood tape, the testimony of other accusers, and the persistence of Carroll's legal team all played a role in shaping the outcome, but it was Carroll's own testimony, raw, unflinching, and human, that resonated with the juries. As the nation watches Trump's legal battles unfold, the Carroll cases serve as a reminder that justice, though delayed, can prevail. The upheld $5 million verdict and the pending $83.3 million appeal underscore the consequences of defamation and the importance of believing survivors. For Carroll, the fight has been about more than money. It has been about reclaiming her voice and her dignity in the face of relentless attacks. The story is not over. Trump's legal team will likely continue to fight, and the Supreme Court may yet weigh in. But for now, Jean Carroll stands as a symbol of resilience, a woman who refused to be silenced, and a testament to the power of the legal system to deliver justice, even against the odds.